Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025. Good morning, everyone. This morning's devotional is a reading from Joshua chapter 9, reading verse 14, which reads, "The men of Israel sampled their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord." As we continue with our theme on prayer, the devotional verse of today should encourage us that we need to inquire of the Lord about all matters. And I'm not talking about things what to wear or what to eat, but decisions that can and will affect our lives every day, and even in the long run. Here's a saying I stumbled across. It says, "Heaven is full of answers for which no one has ever bothered to ask." So we need to ask ourselves, how often do I blindly go into a situation, trusting my own judgment, only to be deceived or disappointed by the outcome? Now you may ask, but why do I need to ask this? Well, the question is, how often do we still do this? Have we ever stopped to inquire of God? But we don't, because the opinion of our social circle is far more valuable than the opinion of God Almighty. Long ago, Joshua and his staff could have saved themselves all kinds of trouble and heartache and headaches had they only stopped long enough to inquire of the Lord and ask God's guidance. How did they get themselves into trouble? Well, you just have to read Joshua chapter 9 and I think Joshua chapter 8. But I'll give you a brief synopsis. After God had given them great victories, one at Jericho and one at Ai, the people met together and they renewed their commitment to God. The law was read and the people nodded their heads in agreement. But the Gibeonites, having heard of what the Israelites did to Jericho and Ai, resorted to a sly plan. So what did they do? They loaded their donkeys, sent a delegation, loaded their donkeys with bread, with worn out sacks, cracked wine bags, and old moldy clothes. And the men put on patched sandals on their feet and they went to the Israelites. And all of the food was dry and moldy. They said to the Israelites, "We have come from a distant country. Make a treaty with us." Even Joshua was fooled as they told him how the bread that is now moldy and stale was fresh and soft as they started on their journey. And what did they do? Joshua signed a treaty with them after agreeing to the terms and conditions whereby the Gibeonites would not be killed by the Israelites. The failure to understand this is summed up in a few words which we read in the devotional, Joshua 9 verse 14. "The men of Israel sampled their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord." In other words, they sniffed and they inspected the goods and saw that, these things are old and moldy. Maybe these people are telling them the truth. And so they bought into the lies which had been told with consummate skill. The problem that confronted them still confronts us today. Nobody is so smart, nobody is so savvy, and nobody is so discerning that he cannot be deceived by the enemies of life, including Satan, who's the master of all deception. That is why bringing God into your life, into your negotiations, is critical. It's of utmost importance. Answers to prayers you have never prayed may keep you from entering into a relationship that would later turn out to be detrimental. James, the brother of Jesus, reminds us in James chapter 1 verse 5 where he writes, "If any one of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives freely to all who ask." So we need to begin being more aware of this. It's okay to acknowledge that you don't know everything, and it's even better to ask God. My dear friends, are you in need of an answer to prayer? Well, here's the solution. Pray every day and ask God for guidance and wisdom. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to do that. Ask Him. May the Lord be with you, may He bless you. May He cause His face to shine upon you, and may He be with you always. Goodbye.